Winds of winter ain't coming. Shut up. I'll believe it when I see it, George. Shut up. I'm finishing up. Thanks. We know. We had to wait for football season to end. Every year. Like the... Oh, George. Yeah, people keep saying there's rumors that the next book is for the Game of Thrones series is happening. Oh shit, I gotta hook you up. George, let's be real. You're nowhere near done. Come on now. I don't believe that shit. I'll believe it when it's... I won't even believe it when it's on the shelf. I will believe it, George, when I have it in my hands and open it up. Okay? That's when I'll believe it. What happened there? Robert's Rebellion. Robert's Rebellion. Robert's Rebellion. Robert's Rebellion. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, I'm sitting on my book. That's really close. I just appreciate any character who's like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it. But I also appreciate crafty characters. But like Tywin don't fuck around. He don't mince words. I like characters that don't mince words. But like I said, I got something for a motherfucker who don't give a shit wielding a warhammer. Like, that's badass. Like, that's awesome. Robert's Rebellion. Here's what happens. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the northern plots. I'm not going to get into anything book crazy. I want everybody to understand here and have fun here and know what the fuck I'm talking about and just know what the show is going to be about. If you guys in the comments want to talk about northern conspiracies and what I think is in... Well, there is no Rhaegar body, so... I'm just saying, if you want to get crazy about theories, we can. I'm just trying to stick to, here's what's happening, people. All my normies out there, all you normal folk, I see you, and I know you don't got time to fucking understand who 75 billion people are, and where they're from, and blah, 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 blah. No, you just want to get to the point and see dragons and see fights. So I'm just here to give you, here's what's going to go down in Robert's Rebellion, and I fucking love it, because I love Robert Rebellion. Robert Rebellion. I love Robert Baratheon. It's just going to be about how Robert got the throne, which could be, like, they don't even... Honestly, I wanted them to do a mini-series. I didn't want them to do a full series. I wanted them to just do a mini-series if they were going to do Robert's Rebellion, because essentially it's just a few battles. And, like, no, there's more that goes to it, so I'm wondering where they're going to start. But essentially, here's what happens. I'm just going to go beat by beat. I'm not going to go into detail about northern plots or schemes or anything like that. Like, I'm not going off on side tangents, because... I could about Rhaegar and his body not being there, and I could be about all that, but whatever, we're not going to go there. Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark were both sent to the Eyrie to be fostered as, like, cupbearers and pages, and that was, like, a sign of respect. Now, like, a ward, that's, like, Theon. Theon's there because, well, yeah, it's not, I mean, now we're getting technical and shit. Like, Theon is with Ned because... he was the last living son of Balon, and Balon kept acting a fool and, like, rising up and saying he was a king, so they took his last living son and said, we'll fucking kill him if you keep fucking around. And so that's what they did with Theon, but it was also a sign of respect to send, and it built alliances and shit like that. So Robert Baratheon and Ned was a second-born son, were going to be fostered at the Eyrie, which is the castle with the titty baby, with the moon door, with the kid drinking off the tit. Yeah, that's the Eyrie. Jon Arryn is the lord of the Eyrie. They were essentially raised by him. That's like their stepdad, essentially. And they're kids, okay? So that happens. Eventually, Robert gets betrothed to Ned's sister, Lyanna. Excuse me. So they're supposed to get married, yada, yada. Robert was always a hoe. Ned knew this. And Lyanna did, too. Lyanna was like, he ain't gonna stay to one woman. Like, I know this about him. Like, I don't know if I want to deal with that, Ned. And Ned knew he was a hoe, too. But... and I won't get into book stuff. He's got a million kids everywhere, and he has one in the Eyrie, and he's actually pretty cool to her. But, so yeah, him and Ned grow up together. Robert's going to marry Lyanna. They're practically family, this, that, and the other thing. Now, the Mad King, he grew up with Tywin Lannister, so just remember that. So Tywin is his hand. Tywin's hand to the king, my favorite character. And the Mad King is on the Iron Throne. Now, Rhaegar Targaryen, people were real worried about him. They were like... what the fuck? He's all reading and shit, and he won't come outside. This is when he's a kid, and they're all worried that he's not going to be a fighter, and he's not going to be strong enough, and all this stuff. Well, and then they're like, oh my god, one day he really wanted to fight, and now he's this, and then he grew up to be this, like, renowned warrior and shit. But, we'll get there, because I don't think Rhaegar ever loved Lyanna Stark. I think it was all a prophecy. I don't think he was mean to her, but I don't think he loved her. But anyway. Yada, yada, yada. They start plotting. Like I said, everybody grows up. The Mad King's really losing it. Tywin's like, you're being weird and creepy. I'm not gonna fucking stay here. He goes back to Casterly Rock to hide over there to figure out what the fuck to do next, because he's like, this shit can't stay. So then they're coming up with a plan to get Rhaegar on the throne and get rid of the Mad King, because it's becoming a problem. Then they have a big tournament, and so they're like, let's throw a party, make it look like a party, make it look like a tournament, but the truth is, we're gonna plot. We're gonna plot, and we're gonna find out how to get rid of the fucking Mad King. Now, at this tournament, when you win, if you win, you get a crown of flowers and whatnot, and I know they're blue winter roses, okay? I'm just trying to get my point across. But that's what you get if you win, and what you're supposed to do is crown a woman in the crowd as the queen of love and beauty. That's like a thing you do. Now, if you're married, you should give it to your wife. Like, that's just what you should do, right? Well, Rhaegar don't do that. Beautiful, noble Rhaegar rides right fucking past his wife and gives that shit to Lyanna Stark. Now, Lyanna Stark ain't no dumb bitch, but I think she kind of just was like, oh, that's very sweet, and kind of got a little crush on Rhaegar right there. That's what I think happened. And I think Rhaegar knew we got to bring ice and fire together, but that's nonetheless, they got a crush on each other, okay? Lyanna Stark, you don't fuck with what's Robert Baratheon's. And I know that sounds possessive and crazy, but which it probably is, but I love Robert. So Robert's like, okay, douchebag. And then, so there's already whatever. And then, so yeah, the tournament keeps going. They're plotting. Tournament ends. A little bit of time goes by. Rhaegar kidnaps and rapes and holds hostage Lyanna Stark. At this point, Lord Rickard Stark, Ned's dad, and Ned's older brother, Brandon, who was supposed to marry Catelyn Tully, go to the capital. They go to King's Landing, and they're like, your son's out here kidnapping people, and it's our family, and my daughter, and my sister, and this is fucking weird, and you need to not do that, or we're gonna start getting crazy up in this motherfucker. So that's when the Mad King's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this. And Jaime Lannister watches, Varys watches, everybody in the court watches. He's like, I'm going to light Lord Rickard on fire. I'm going to light your dad on fire with wildfire. And then I'm going to strap you into this machine I bought from the east that will strangle you the more you move. And if you can get to your dad and put him out, then you guys can go free. So that wasn't going to happen. So Lord Rickard burned to death. And Lord Brandon choked himself to death. And trying to save his father in front of hundreds of people in the courtroom. Or not the courtroom, the throne room. And yeah, so that's how they died. And that's when Ned and Robert were like, let's get fucking nuts. Let's get crazy. Let's do this shit. So now that Brandon is gone, the older brother, Ned now has to marry Catelyn Tully. Not only do the Tullys do that, but the Tullys say, well, we got another daughter. She'll marry Jon Arryn. Jon Arryn is the dead guy in the first episode. Titty Baby's dad. Older dude. It was kind of weird, but they needed alliances. So they're like, let's do this. So Ned and Jon Arryn became brother-in-laws through marrying the Tully sisters. Then Robert was also supposed to be married into Ned's family, so it would have been like a family thing. You see what I mean about building alliances here? Well, then they all call their banners. They're calling their banners. They're like, well, we're going to get on their side. And then there's the people on the Targaryen side. Several battles happen. And here's where I appreciate whoever named, and I don't know if I brought this up yet on a video. Here's where I appreciate whoever named the episodes of Season 8, because they knew their shit. Like the episode where Brienne gets knighted, they called it A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and that's a reference to Sir Duncan the Tall, who is her ancestor. I see you, whoever named those episodes. I don't know your name, but I see you. Excuse me. And then the episode where Daenerys, the only battle, well, not the only battle she wins, but the big battle that she wins, the Iron Throne itself, is called The Bells. The only battle Robert Baratheon lost during Robert's Rebellion is the Battle of the Bells to Sam Tarly's dad, Randall Tarly, where Randall Tarly shows he ain't one to be fucked with neither. So that's the only battle Robert lost. Obviously he didn't die, but he lost. Now we get to the Trident. And Robert got the nickname the demon of the Trident. The fucking demon of the Trident. All the Trident is a piece of land by a river called the Trident. And that is where Robert didn't cut his head off. He didn't stab him. No, Robert took his warhammer. And now Robert Baratheon is supposed to be like 7 feet tall, 8 with his helmet on. Now their sigil is a stag. So on his helmet he has these giant antlers. So he's a scary looking motherfucker coming at you. I love Robert. So what he did was, like I said, didn't just kill him normal. He caved in Rhaegar's breastplate, which means he smashed through metal, smashed through everything, and caved in his entire chest cavity. Smashed every bone, smashed every organ, fucked him up. Fucked him up good, killed him. I'll say that at the end. So he fucked Rhaegar up, so Rhaegar's gone. Now I'm going to say around the same time, because I bet you they'll split this up, is while Tywin Lannister is on his way to King's Landing. When he gets to King's Landing, the Mad King is like, oh my god, my friend's here, fuck yeah, let him in. But then he's like, don't let him in, and then he's like, let him in, then he's like, don't let him in. And then Grand Maester Pycelle, Maesters are sneaky rats, don't listen to Maesters, is like, no, let him in, he's gonna save us. What does Tywin do? Because he doesn't say this, but I know this, because this is why I think Tywin's the most romantic character. I don't think he sacked the city because Robert was going to win. I don't think he sacked the city. I think he sacked that city because he thought or knew you did something weird with his wife. And everybody said that the only thing that made Lord Tywin smile was his wife. After his wife passes away, he's like, nah, fuck that noise. That's why he sacked the city. Personally, that's what Abby thinks. But Tywin comes in, Mad King thinks he's saved. He's not. They sack the city. Jaime Lannister kills the Mad King. And the reason Robert gets the throne has nothing to do with, like, he's the biggest and the baddest. It has to do with the fact that the very first Baratheon to come to Westeros was with Aegon the Conqueror, Aegon Targaryen, and was his half-brother, Orys Baratheon. So, that's where House Baratheon comes from, is literally the Targaryens. He was half Targaryen, the first one. Also, Robert's grandmother was a Targaryen. So he literally, Stannis, literally, Renly, literally have king's blood in their veins. Like, it's not just because they were beating people. They literally have king's blood. So that's why Robert gets the throne, and not Tywin, and not Ned, and, like, I'm sure they could have fought over it or some shit, but whatever. So yeah, that's how Robert gets the throne. And I'm really excited about it, because, like, this could be, and it's Robert Baratheon, so it's going to be, like, fighting and banging and awesome, and it's, like, that's why I want it to be a miniseries, and not so much a show, unless they're really going to go into, like, the political stuff, which I'm sure they are, but I'm like, this is more of just some just do some really cool choreographed battles, and some badass shit with Barristan Selmy, and some badass stuff, like, because you have all the main players. You have Jaime Lannister, you have Barristan Selmy, you have, and then we have the Tower of Joy. We'll be able to see Ned figure out that his sister's locked in the Tower of Joy, which is where we see her pass away in the show after she has Jon, and I'm really excited for Robert's Rebellion. I really fucking am. Like, I'm pumped for it. Robert's my favorite character, and I was like, that's such an easy one to do. They're not going to do it. And then everyone's like, we don't want it. And I was like, I want it. And so I'm so glad that they're doing it. I really am. I'm pumped about it. I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. I think I'm going to talk about, there's all types of shit out right now about this. Like, I know there's a marathon going on right now. There's all this information being leaked, there's things being dropped, there's actors being dropped. Oh, Ramin Djawadi, who is the composer for the first one, who does the theme song, all that shit. I love him. He does Westworld and Pacific Rim. I see you, dude. I'm not even gonna get into it. He's one of my favorite composers, like, now. Like, I love him. And, yeah, so I'm pumped. They signed him on a couple months ago, so he's coming back to do the music. But yeah, I'm not for Robert's Rebellion, for the House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon is going to be the first one that comes out. I just really wanted to talk about Robert's Rebellion. And and things that Abby thinks, that everybody thinks I'm crazy about. I don't think, rubies are a big deal in the book. And they always make a big deal about Rhaegar's rubies, and we never know what happens to Rhaegar's body. Now, I'm not saying he's alive. But I think something's going on. Something's going on with Rhaegar. And I think we are going to find his harp. He's musical and he likes to play music. Yeah, but anyway, okay, I'm Abby. I can go off on tangents forever. I could talk about Lord Tywin for days, or the Leech Lord. That's my favesies too. But yeah, remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. It really does. And I love doing this, and I love just talking about stuff. And like I said, if you want to go into detail about something, let me know because I will go into detail. But yeah, everybody remember to be careful out there.